Gets going.
Are we out here?
I think we out here. Yep.
We out here.
We
We're on it.
We're on it. We're out here.
We're live.
Yep.
Fuck it. We'll do it live. It's episode 190 of the platformers. A game of God, Jesus Christ.
You almost had it.
I almost had it. A show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Joshua Mobley.
And it's just us for this week.
Chris is not here.
Because Chris is not here. Chris isn't here. He's away. He's on vacation. He's a very good boy. Finally, this boy, if anybody needed a vacation, it was him.
He deserves a vacation.
He deserves a vacation. The only person I can think of that might deserve a vacation as much is Mitch Saltzman, because that dude works way too much. There's lots of people who deserve it. You know what? If you're out there and you're watching or you're listening, you deserve a vacation. So go ahead and take one.
Take the time.
Take the time. But yeah, so it's going back to I was bringing this up in the pre-show, but I stopped myself just because we needed to get the ball rolling. But for quite some time, this show actually was just you and I.
For a little bit, yeah. I always forget about that.
Yeah, there were times, if you've been with us since the absolute beginning, it was myself and Chris and Marty for a while. There was actually two versions of this show before that cast. There was the version of this show that was even before I met Josh and Chris. There was a version that had myself, my wife Audrey, and her brother AJ on it. That was actually the first podcast version of this show that I ever recorded, and it was really weird. And then we did another one where we had Josh's cousin on it, Matt, and I think it was 4 people. I think it was myself, Matt, Marty, and Chris. And then it was myself, Chris, and Marty for a long time. And then Marty left, and then I think it was you, me, and Chris, right?
Yeah.
After that, and then Chris had to step away for a while, and then it was just Josh and I holding it down, and then Chris came back.
Like you do.
And now back to the old duo.
Yep.
And we've had a lot of I feel like since it was just you and I, we've had way more guests on.
Yes.
Which has been really, really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We've had some really good ones. Like we had Janet on, we had Mitch on, I don't think either of you have been on for any of the episodes that Ronnie's been on for.
I don't think so.
Because we did
I'm aware of.
Actually, I think he was only on for the Return of the Obra Dinn spoiler cast. And then we had the special super spoiler cast for Last of Us Part 2, which I don't think you were on.
No, because I didn't play the game. So
yeah, that was Chris and I and B Hunt and a couple of Chris's friends from Philly and New York. Yeah, we've had a lot of guests on, and we're gonna have some more in the future. Yeah, we got Hannah Houlihan, we got Matt Adler, I think we're gonna have some other people that whose names you will probably recognize if you read IGN.
Some other folk.
Some other very good folks. But yeah, what shall we start with? What was it? Oh man, some news just came out. So Suicide Squad came out and is apparently very good. I'm very excited to go see it.
Yeah, I did not watch it yet.
I'm pretty excited about it. What was it that was news? There was something I literally just saw.
I don't know. I'm looking around. I don't see much, but I don't know.
What was it? Anyway, there's a huge, if I'm just going to go ahead and be a caricature of myself, there's a huge Dragon Ball FighterZ patch that the patch notes were announced today, and it makes the game effectively like a party game. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And the patch they announced, hey, guess what? The patch is coming out tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Uh, is going to be a lot. But and then I think a couple of other people are picking up Guilty Gear, which is also getting another patch. So I mean, life is good for fighting game players out here. There was what else? Man, there was something else, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't know. I don't feel like anything big has happened really in the last week. It's been
Not a lot, actually.
pretty like just quiet. I don't know, but I don't check the news as much um lately. But
I had just I just saw.
I check
Oh,
every so
that's what it
often.
was. That's what it was.
Hmm,
That's what it was. Funimation completes Crunchyroll acquisition, an anime streaming merger worth nearly $1.2 billion.
there you go.
Funimation acquiring Crunchyroll is big
Yeah.
if you're into anime
Are
because
they going to just
those are,
combine those services now? Are they just going to put all the Funimation stuff on Crunchyroll? Because I would imagine the Crunchyroll actually has a bigger subscriber base, right?
I would imagine so.
I mean, I
Very
think
welcome.
Funimation has like free stuff with ads, but I know that they have a paid version, but I've never known anyone that used the paid version. Everybody usually just uses like Crunchyroll. So I don't know.
Oh, interesting. They're coming together under the banner of Sony Pictures Entertainment.
Hmm. No,
So
wasn't
that's
that the original rumor was that Sony was buying it? Or Sony was buying Crunchyroll?
yeah, that's weird. I don't know that I knew that Sony owned Funimation.
I didn't know that.
That's weird. But there we go. So if you're an anime fan, I mean that might do something.
Hmm.
What have you been up to this week, my dude? I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird space. I just went on this really long bike ride and I think I got a sunburn and I'm like really tired.
Yeah,
Today has been really
I'm
hectic and
also tired. It was a long weekend of just like partying. So
I thought yeah, I
just a little
found a
mentally drained here, you know?
yeah, I've had a lot of work. Riley's been really crazy, and then I found out like a friend's girlfriend died last night of cancer. And
Oof.
I'm just like, wow, this is a lot of stuff coming out about climate change. It's been a whiplash of a day, and then I got probably sunburned from bike riding in my neighborhood when it was really hot. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's that time. We still have a month and a half until fall. And even then it'll still be
yeah,
hot for a little bit. So one of them things.
yeah. So
Um,
what have you been up to this week?
geez, man. Well, lots of Final Fantasy still. I'm still playing 14, but I actually
That's right.
started Final Fantasy 12, which I haven't ever played
The
really. Like
Zodiac Age or just the regular
the
version?
Zodiac Age, yeah.
Okay,
I haven't
cool.
actually given that game like much of a shake. Like the first time I tried to play it was on PS2 and I only played through like the first 30 minutes, that like intro sequence.
Oh wow, you played through literally the worst part of that game.
And then like I just was like not feeling it. I never tried it again. But now I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah,
on Game Pass, it's in HD. Um the speed up button is a godsend. I think it's like
it really
the
is.
greatest thing that's ever existed. I don't Was that in the base game or is that just a Zodiac Age thing?
No, that's a Zodiac thing.
Okay. Yeah,
They've
I
done
don't
that
know
with a
how
lot
I
of
could
games.
have.
They did that with the upscaled modern console version of FF7. They did that.
Yeah, I know they've been doing that for a lot of the like re-releases and stuff, which I actually
Yeah,
really appreciate. And I actually don't know if I'd have the patience for this game, even though I like it, if I didn't have the speed up, because it makes a lot of the like lulls between story content and just like the grinding and stuff just way less. Like I have the
yeah,
speed up at 4x, and being able to just like dart across these fields and like just kill all the wolves on the way like really fast is just makes the game so much more enjoyable for some reason. Um
yeah. That's a huge deal. That's actually, and I talked about this when I was talking about Disgaea 6. The Gambit system in that game is like where the Disgaea demonic intelligence system came from.
mhm.
Like that being able to can you do gambits yet in the game?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like about
Okay.
5 hours in.
Okay. So you can probably do gambits, but you don't have like a ton of verbs to plug in there.
No, I started buying a few
Okay.
of them, but
Yeah,
I
they're
have
pretty
I have messed with
powerful.
a few of them.
Yeah, they're pretty powerful if you know how to use them.
Hmm.
And if you can set them up. I Final Fantasy 12, as much as man, that might actually be my favorite Final Fantasy if they just deleted Vaughn and maybe Pinello out of the game. Um,
Vaughn,
like
I don't mind as much as I thought I would. Pinello is a little annoying, but
I
um,
like when you I don't know if you've met like the rest of the cast yet, but
I've met a
once
bunch
you
of them.
do,
But
it's it becomes the more you play the game, it becomes increasingly clear that like Vaughn doesn't belong in this game at all. And
mhm.
Pinello also basically doesn't belong in this game at all. Um, and because I think the main character was either going to be Balthier or uh Bosch.
I thought it was supposed to be his brother, Vaughn's brother, that you play in the beginning.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I don't know. I don't know the
Anyway,
story
the
behind it.
person who was supposed to be the main character is not the main character in the game, and
Yeah.
I can tell. Because
Yeah.
in Final Fantasy X, Titus is a great main character. He
Yeah.
is completely central to the story, all that sort of stuff. In Final Fantasy IV, Cecil is the main character. You could kind of argue that there's not really a main character in Final Fantasy VI. Uh, like it could be Terra, or it could be Edward, or it could be Locke, or like there are a bunch of characters who like have central themes throughout. Although Terra is the one that makes the most sense. But in Final Fantasy 12, like there's like 3 or 4 characters that would have been way better main characters than the cipher idiot that Vaughn is. That just really annoys me because the systems in that game are so good. The world is so good.
The
And like
world I
the
like.
the
Um,
job license system is like so cool.
I do like that
Um,
too. I don't really like the battle system all that much. I kind of just am dealing with it. Just like, just I'll deal with it. I'll let it happen. The gambit stuff I kind of like. I don't like how finicky like the just attacking and stuff feels. It feels a little floaty. And it's exacerbated too when you're playing it at like 4x because you'll be standing there waiting for an attack and then
yeah,
all of a sudden the wolf just like flings away. Like it's just like flying around. You're like, "Oh god, like I got to go catch up with this thing."
yeah.
It gets a little annoying, but
I definitely think that it would have been great if they had kind of hybridized that system with the system from 10. Like where you have like the pure turn based where like movement isn't a huge deal, but then you also have like the gambits if you wanted to kind of like let stuff roll out.
mhm.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
Part of me likes movement, but like I definitely think that like it loses both the kind of pure focus. uh 12 kind of loses the pure focus that 10 has, and it also loses like the kinetic kind of action feel that 7 remake has. And I
Yeah.
would rather go to one extreme or the other instead of kind of being this weird kind of middle child.
Yeah. And
And I say that as a middle child.
to me I feel like when I think about the combat of 13, to me it feels like 13 is sort of like what they kind of wanted to do in 12, but they didn't quite like reach it. And then
Mm.
when you play 13, like
I
I really
bounced off of
like
13 pretty hard, so
I
I don't really
I
have a
like
point of
13 a
reference for
lot,
that.
but it's turn based, but the characters kind of move around, but what you do instead is like you switch their classes. Like you have things called paradigms, which are like loadouts that you create. So then you would have like a paradigm where everyone is a black mage, or you'd have a paradigm where you have like, your standard tank healer, damage dealer thing, or you do a paradigm where it's all healers because you're like, I need everyone to heal like as fast as possible. And you only control one character
It's
at a
like
time.
it's like job changing in the middle of all like in the
Combat,
middle of combat.
but it's for your entire party. So you have a party of like 3 people, and then you create like so the way you would do it because it had that stagger effect also, or the stagger system where you would like fill the bar, and then you could do more damage to people. So what you could do is
They
like
definitely did that in FF7R.
a little bit.
which
Yeah,
I
the or
like.
the stagger thing they did, yeah, because it's been used in a bunch of other games, but uh that's the first one they used it in to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. But you would do
I think I've played all the other ones except for that. Ooh, did they do stagger in FFX2?
no, but
I don't
they did the
know.
class changing. Like you would change your outfit
Yeah,
in
your dress
X2
spheres.
and
Yeah.
you would be like that different class. But in the paradigm thing, it would be like, well, you know that this boss is susceptible to like, when before they've been stunned, they're susceptible to like lightning damage. And then but then after that, they're susceptible to fire or something. So then you would like create paradigms for that specific boss fight where you would try to stagger them, and then you would swap to like everyone's black mage and everyone's just using like Thundaga on the boss to try and just like maximize your DPS. And then a minute that the stagger ends, you would like switch paradigms again, like back to what you were doing. So you would a lot of times create like very generic ones, but then you would get to boss fights that you couldn't necessarily beat. But once you figured out the weakness, you could like really tweak like a loadout of paradigms
You
to
could tweak
actually
them.
fix it. Yeah, tweak them. Um, I've always really liked 13. I think people give 13 a hard time, but I
Does
think
it
it's a really
have
good game.
does it have speed up functionality?
No, but there might be a mod for that on the PC one. There's a couple of mods. Like I know I was just looking at it the other
That's
day.
not on Game Pass. There's a lot of Final
It's
Fantasy still on
not
Game Pass. I think seven's
um
on there.
13's never gotten like an HD remake. So, but there's an
I mean,
actual
there's 3
HD.
games in the series though.
I know.
It's nuts. It's the
There
only one that they've done that many sequels of, and I'm like, why? This game looks awful.
I don't know because to
I kind of
me
want to try it though.
the
If you're talking about this being like kind of a fusion of a couple of different games combat systems that I like, but
I
I
think
found the
thir-
characters to be really uninteresting.
I think 13 gets more interesting the deeper you go, which
Mm,
is unfortunate, but
yeah.
um
That was the
it's
game
same
that
with the
people were
combat.
memeing on. They were like, it gets good 40 hours in or
Yeah,
something, right?
it's not like that at all. It's because people like made fun of the fact that it's linear until about 40 hours in, but like so many other Final Fantasy games are very linear. Like 7 Remake is incredibly linear, but no one cares now.
It's linear through the whole game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one cares now. It's
I
just
wonder
that yeah.
at what point Final Fantasy 9 stops being linear, cuz that's linear for a while.
I don't know. Nine's another one of my blind spots that I need to
It's
go to.
extremely good.
Yeah.
I think 9 might have my favorite way to handle equipment.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing in Final Fantasy 9 is abilities are attached to items. So you equip the item, and then when you're so like you have a knife, right?
Oh,
And
nice.
it's called like it's a knife, and it's like the blind knife or something. And you equip it, and it gives you once you equip the knife, you get access to the spell blind. And then the weapon has like when you have it equipped on your character, it'll say like Zidane has 0 out of 100 CP or AP or something on this ability on this weapon. And then if you take it off of him, he loses the ability to use blind. But if you keep it on him until he gets enough CP in combat to like max out the knife, he has that ability forever. And then you can just
Mm.
switch to a different weapon.
So
So
it's almost like the FF14 system with extra steps. For like
ooh,
the weapon you have on like determines your class. In this, it's like you need to build your class based on what weapons you put on them and then like grind them a little bit.
yeah, I mean, the thing that I like about it is like there are more reasons to use weapons in Final Fantasy 9 other than the fact that it does more damage than the stuff that you have.
Right.
Cuz like there might be a weapon, like you might find a weapon in a town that you'd missed before you didn't have enough money to get and it's less powerful, but it's got a cool ability on it. And like if you're like me, like in all of those games like in Final Fantasy 5 and like all those games like and Final Fantasy Tactics, I'm getting stars and mastering all of those classes. Like that's just what I do as I go through. Like
Hmm.
I don't find like one class and stick with it. I find one class and master it and then move on to the next class. And like when there's secret bonuses, like in Final Fantasy Tactics for the Squire, like you get to a certain point and you get to the time skip in the thing, and then all of a sudden Ramza has like a new ability as a Squire. I'm like, all right, give it to me. And then ultimately the Squire can become like the basic class for the main character becomes like this overpowered thing because he can learn like Ultima and like all these crazy things with
Mhm.
it. Um, but like I'm all about like churning through battles and like earning experience and like internalizing all of these abilities and then having like so much flexibility with the stuff that I can do in combat. I
Mhm.
wonder what it would be like to like not play that way, like to just
I don't know.
do whatever is like do whatever and then like ditch it and whatever, or like find one
I
class and just stick with it and not
I
do all that sort of
usually
stuff.
just pick characters to be certain classes unless it's a
Hmm.
like Final Fantasy 13 situation where, and actually Final Fantasy 10 to a degree, where like everyone kind of starts off as a class, but then as you go, like on the sphere grid or in 13 the Crystarium, like as you get higher or like fill out more nodes, you can kind of like just kind of switch them to whatever you want. Like it gives you a bit
You
of more of that
Yeah.
flexibility.
In Final Fantasy X, you can like you can bend the things in whatever so like you've got like the empty spots on the sphere grid and you use your tokens to be like, all right, give him a ton more health, give him a ton
Yeah.
more defense, and you can make Titus more tanky. And then there's a point where like you can bend it, you can bend it, you can bend it, and then you get to a certain point and you can just break it and go anywhere and become anything. And then you can like be like, all right, I'm going to Lulu's spot. I'm learning all the spells.
Hmm.
I'm going to, this character's spot. I'm becoming insanely fast and can hit
You
anything.
just become godlike at some point. Like
Yeah.
if you grind enough, what's the point of it? Nothing really, but
Is
you know,
what's the point of it? You want to be supremely overpowered,
yeah,
like,
you
and
want to,
just stomp on everything.
bragging rights, basically.
You gotta take on those optional bosses. You gotta take on Ultima Weapon. You
I
gotta take
guess,
on Bahamut.
yeah.
But yeah, man, that's got me kind of interested in Final Fantasy 13. That's one of the only ones that I haven't played. I have not played 2. I have not played 3.
Two, I haven't really played them a lot because I wasn't a big fan of how it functioned, and my friend was saying that two, like the story is like, okay, but that when he went
Hmm.
back to play it, he used cheats because he's like, if you are gonna play that traditionally, he's like, there's so much grinding.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not really interested in that.
so I was like, maybe I just won't play two. Three, I have not really played much of. Six, I played most of, but I didn't finish.
Yeah,
And
I
five,
did
I'm
a
not a
whole
big fan
playthrough
of.
actually
You
on this
did.
channel. I think. Yeah.
You did, I remember.
We've got that all on our YouTube channel if you want to see my blind
Mhm.
playthrough of or sorry. That's we're not saying that, right? My ignorant playthrough of Final Fantasy 6. I don't want to be desensitive to people who are blind.
Either way,
If that's not something to say, I'm not up on the lingo. I apologize. But yeah, my like totally
a
fresh,
playthrough.
don't know anything playthrough of Final Fantasy 6, which is crazy that I was able to get that far in life and not have that spoiled for me. But
I
yeah,
hardly remember anything from Final Fantasy VI, and I played most of it.
it's
So,
good. It's very good. I
and
like it a lot.
I've played all of Final Fantasy IV, and I remember hardly any of that either. I remember like the big moments, but that's about it.
Yeah, four's good. Four's good.
I like 4 a lot. That's another one, even though it's been remade, I'm like, you could remake that again, but in like a modern way.
Dude, the DS remake is also on Steam, I think, and I'm very excited to fire that up when I'm done with.
Talking about 3?
No, 4.
Well, I know there's a PSP one. I played the GBA one
There's
back
a
in the day.
DS one. There's a DS one. That's my favorite one of 4. Uh, they had like the little map. It was when the characters were in like 3D. It was really good.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know they did this. All right.
Yeah, dude, that is my favorite version of that game. It's really good, and the
Interesting.
characters look really cool too.
I think this is what the PSP one looks like
Is it really?
also. Yeah, I believe so. I was just
Yeah,
having this discussion with a friend of mine because he was telling me
it was
about
really
the
it was
PSP
really cool
version of
because
4 is really good.
the DS version, the bottom screen had your map on it, and like you could fill it out. And when
I
you got
remember
to
that.
100% on each of the maps, they'd give you like a little bonus.
Mm.
It was really cool. Like they'd give you like an item. They'd give you like 5 potions or something early in the game when you 100%ed each little map screen. So it like incentivized you to like explore more, and it made it really easy to like not get lost. It was
Thanks,
really
DS.
great. Best version of that game. Best version of that game
I
easily.
still really like the GBA version, but I would if I was gonna play it, I would probably play the PSP one just because I haven't done that one. And I
Yeah.
hear it's good. But yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I've been
Uh,
bit by the Final Fantasy bug right now, so I'm kind of
nice.
doing that. I might go do 13 after 12, but we'll see how long 12 takes. I read that Zodiac Age only takes about 40 hours, which seemed kind of low, but I bet it's because of the speed up. Because I'm about
On how long to beat, you mean?
yeah. I'm about
Hmm.
5 hours in, at least on my game
I don't
clock.
know.
I don't know if the 4x thing like pulls that in, like if it makes the speed go faster. I have no idea.
I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to know.
Yeah.
I think I got like 12 or 15 hours in to FF12 Zodiac Age when I like bought it on Steam, but then I just like kind of got sick of it and left. I think
Well,
I was trying to do
you've
that.
already beaten it anyway, so.
Yeah, I beat it, but I didn't do like Zodiac Age. I think adds some extra stuff and all that
Oh,
sort of stuff. One thing I
it
really
adds all
do
the
like,
Japan only content, I think, right?
I think it might have like extra boss fights and stuff
Yeah.
that you don't get like
So
in the original game, which I was trying to get to. But
the
I do
ori-
like how they have like the full. You can just straight up break the game if you want. You
oh
can
yeah,
just be like, "Yo, give me
they
infinite item points. Give me maximum level. Let me do max damage. Let me always have limit break." Like it's wild.
I know they let you like break the license boards and just like do it in any order you want or something like
Yeah.
that, but I don't know. So on how long to beat, original FF12 says about 61 hours main
Oh
story, but
wow.
Zodiac Age is only about 40. So I wonder if
I.
it's but I know
That's a
that
lot chopped off.
apparently they rebalance some of the characters and stuff, because I was reading that like a few of the characters are like stat wise way weaker than all the others, and that you should just never use them. Like Fran and
I remember Fran was like the worst character.
yeah, Fran and Pinello, I think, were two of the three ones where I was reading like you should just never use them because
Basically,
they're terrible or whatever, like stat wise. But I don't know if they fixed that in Zodiac Age or not. I have no idea.
one would
But
hope that'd be pretty cool.
yeah. But
Because I like Fran. Fran's cool.
yeah,
Cool character.
bunny lady.
Yeah. Yeah, I like her. She seems nice.
She seems nice.
I mean,
Ugh.
Pinello's super nice as well. I don't have anything against that.
She
But
is. She's like, I'm your childhood friend, but you're just kind of like, what are you doing here?
and then Vaughn's like a
You're
total
like this
asshole.
other
God, I
guy.
hate that guy.
You're like this other guy is like a sky pirate. He's pretty cool. And then you're like, and then this other guy's like got this whole thing going on. He's like honestly probably the best character so far. Like, what are you doing here?
Who? Who's probably the
God,
best?
is it Braun? I can't remember.
Bosch.
Bosch.
Bosch is my favorite character. He was basically the core, the center of my team when I
He's
made it.
the
I was
guy
like,
at the
dude,
beginning,
guy,
right? Like who?
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
who's there? Okay, yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
Who they were like, yo, he killed the king.
He killed my brother. He's like, I didn't do it. Yeah,
He betrayed my brother and killed the king.
he's the best. So he's the best so far.
He is the best.
But
He is the best.
I'm not
He
like
should have been the main character.
I'm not totally like in love with any of the characters yet, but I think the world of 12 is really interesting.
I mean, it's Ivalice. It's the same world as Final Fantasy Tactics and I guess technically Tactics Advance also.
Those are
And then
other
they
blind
said,
spots for me. Are the tactics games.
really?
Yeah.
You haven't played any of the Tactics games?
I think I tried to like back in the day when I was a dumb kid and I just did not get it, so I didn't continue, but that's
This
something
is
I will
definitely
rectify at some point.
this is definitely more. Final Fantasy 12 is a continuation of the Tactics Advance version of the universe. The Ivalice in Final Fantasy Tactics is way kind of not pulpier. It's more kind of intense. Like imagine less less Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and more like Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
Like original, like a lot of the same elements, but like the
So it's not just a
Banga.
straight up remake. Like it's
No,
changed a bit.
they're set in the same world, but in really different time periods. So like I'm pretty sure. Well, never mind. Yeah, you need to play Final Fantasy Tactics. It's exceptional. It's really
Okay.
really great.
just for you.
But
So,
I appreciate that.
but yeah,
But
just that's
yeah,
kind of all I've been up to
cool.
this week.
I have been getting into some really wild, intensive assassination. I've been playing through more Hitman.
Yeah.
As you know, as everybody knows, I've been playing Hitman 1. I've been playing all of this inside of Hitman 3, which PSA out there, if you did not know this, if you download Hitman 3 on Xbox or PlayStation or PC, you can buy, well, I don't know actually about Steam, but on PlayStation and on Xbox, I'm playing it on Xbox.
Hmm.
If you download Hitman 3, you can play Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 and Hitman 3 all within the same game. You just need to like buy the license to activate it or whatever.
Mm.
And so I got Hitman 1 through, I think, Games with Gold. So when I downloaded the Hitman 3 thing, I just had all of Hitman 1, but in the new engine with the new mechanics.
Hmm.
It's awesome.
That doesn't
And then
create any like weird balancing issues. It feels fine.
no, I mean, I don't, I mean, I legitimately don't know. I never played Hitman 1 any other way.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I bounced off of it before, but then this time I was like, oh man, I really like I understand it now.
Hmm.
And so I played through that and beat it and was like, all right, let's load up the next one. Let me buy Hitman 2, the license on Hitman 3. And then I played through Hitman 2 and was like, holy crap, dude, this game rules. And then I heard people say, I forget who it was. Somebody was saying Hitman 3. It might have been, was it Mitch? It might have been Mitch or Ronnie or somebody like that was saying that like Hitman 3 is their game of the year so far. Which is like
That was this
wild
year, huh?
because there's been a lot. That is insane that was this
I
year.
mean, it's already August, so
It's true, but it just feels like it's still like March.
I know. I'm with you. It doesn't
Like it's
feel
like
like time has gone
it feels
on
like we're
as
like
fast as it
3
has.
months. We're like 3 months into 2021, right? Nope, almost
Nope,
over.
it's almost over.
Uh,
Well, kind of. Yeah, we're like 2/3 of the way through.
yeah, we're over halfway, which it does not. I feel like we're in the first third. But yeah, so I played through all of Hitman 2 and I was like, wow, this game rips. It's so good. Uh, and then I
Sure
beat
does
it,
rip
and
ass.
there's a huge twist in the last cutscene, and I was like, how are they gonna do it? How are they gonna top it? And then they start Hitman 3, and man, it starts with a bang. It starts with two really awesome missions, and now I'm on, I think, the third mission, and it's a totally different style of thing that I've never done before. It like legitimately shakes up the entire, like there's never been a mission that I've gone on that was like this, and there's very good reasons for that. But now I'm just in the middle of it, and it's like totally, if you know anything about Hitman, like it's you're trying to isolate people and take them out, or make it look like an accident or whatever. I tend to be like a little bit more direct. If I can make it look like an accident, excellent. If I can get somebody isolated and then kick them off of a skyscraper, even better. You know what I mean?
Even
But
better.
I'm in the middle of this extreme, like the real wrinkles and the real challenge comes when you're in crowds and you have to kill somebody. 'Cause it's not Assassin's Creed. You can't just sidle up and freaking stab them and they're dead.
And then they're like,
Um,
oh, they fall over.
yeah. Uh, but there was so many great moments. Like, and I can definitely I see why people are like, yo, Hitman's the best. I just play it over and over again. And I'm like, I get how you can do that now. Because they've just IO has been able to create these like fantastic kind of sandbox environments and been like, yo, just go play. Like one of the first levels in Hitman 3 really gave me like Knives Out vibes. Where there's like this huge mansion, there's a bunch of family wandering around. There's like some butlers and bodyguards and stuff like that. It's obviously like way bigger. Like the Knives Out house isn't actually that big, but this is like a huge mansion, and there's tons of staff. There's like cooks and maids and all this sort of stuff. And then there's these like stuck up people in a bunch of different parts of the house, and there's secret passageways and all this sort of stuff. And I'm sneaking all over the place, climbing up you know, you know, the railings and stuff like that, and sneaking all over and killing people. It's awesome. And right now, I'm in the middle of a really, really crowded level in Hitman 3 where there's just hundreds of people everywhere. And I'm like, I see the person that I'm supposed to kill. They will recognize me if I don't like duck into some side hallway or something. And I have no idea how I'm going to get them away from all these people that will instantly see me murder them.
Mhm.
So it is a delight. I'm really here for it. The story is great, graphics are great. I was like, how are they going to make this look even better after beating Hitman 2? And then I booted up Hitman 3, and I'm like, wow, they really did it. They really did it. It looks better. It feels better. It's got even more mechanics going on. You know, it's. I know I'm late to the party, but I'm at the party now.
I'm
Party's been
here.
going on. Party's been going on for quite a long time. I've been uh I mean I can't even pass this on off as being fashionably late because the party is effectively over. Um you know, because they're like,
I like that.
you know, they're like, we're giving Agent 47 a break. Like I literally, the hilarious thing about this is I wrote this as a story because I was doing the breakouts for the IGN Unfiltered interview with the IO developers when they were talking about James Bond, and people were like, hey, you know, people were wondering, are we gonna get Hitman 4? And they're like, we're gonna give Agent 47 a break for a while. And I'm like, damn it! Like right when I get into it, they're like not gonna be making a new one for a while.
Yeah, but you got like
But
such a smorgasbord of content, right?
it's true. It's
Like
true.
coming
One,
late to
two,
the
and three,
party.
plus the DLC, plus the World of
That's
Assassination, like seasonal stuff, even on its own. And then I could go back and play like Absolution and Blood Money and all those sorts of things.
yeah. I mean, that's
Uh,
that's that's what I'm experiencing right now with 14 is that I'm kind of late to the party, and so they just have like just an immense amount of things to do. The
yeah,
imagine Hitman is like the same boat, right? Because you have 3 games
yeah,
worth of stuff just
yeah.
piled up.
And there's DLC that I haven't even bought yet. I was glad that I got online and played it because I was like, yeah, you know, I feel like maybe I'll play some Hitman tonight, and I beat Hitman 2, and then I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just buy Hitman 3, and I looked on the Xbox store and it was 50% off, but only for 5 more hours, and I was like, well, we got in just at the
Way to
tail
hold
end
my
there.
feet to the fire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll buy this for 50% off. Hell yeah. Uh, but that has absolutely been like this generation, you know, I made that resolution of trying new, like big franchises that I'd never done before. And that hit in a big way with Animal Crossing on Switch, which was cool. This has been another huge hit for me, which is just having my eyes opened finally to Hitman. So I'm really excited to play more
Hitman.
kind of more game. I mean, obviously, I'm excited. I'm really excited to play more Hitman. I'm also excited to like just keep experimenting in you know, with new games that I'm not particularly familiar with, and hopefully we'll get new. You know, I'll be able to expand my horizons even more and have more games that I love. But
Mhm.
it's been pretty great. Other than that, like once I finish that, I think one of the next things I'm gonna do is yeah, we may just keep the train rolling. I may try Resi 2 as
Ooh,
my first
that
real Resident Evil game.
that is a good one.
Beyond playing, I think I played Resi 4 for a couple of hours, but I never beat it. I didn't play it. I didn't even own it. I was just borrowing it from a friend. I think I played it for a little
Yeah.
bit. I rescued the president's daughter, and we were kind of making our way through. Uh, and that's all I really remember. I remember
You
she got picked
probably
up by
played
some
most of it. Funny enough.
She got picked up by some hooded figures, and then they were trying to run away.
Yeah.
Uh,
The thing about the Resident Evil games is
but yeah.
they're incredibly short. Like they're probably 4 to 8 hours, like maybe 6 to 8 hours the first time you play them, and then the second
Holy
time
crap!
through.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're always short. But the thing is, like you kind of replay them and try to see how fast you get through them. So you probably got a fair ways through Resident Evil 4 because I used to just replay that game back in the day, like
Dang,
sometimes.
that sucks. Because I was like, if that's the case, I could have actually beaten it.
Um,
Uh,
I mean, yeah, I Resident Evil 2. remake, you could legitimately beat in one sitting. I think
Wow.
when Nicole and I played it, when it first came out, we rented it and we played for about 7 hours the first night and got most of the way through it, and then probably another hour, hour and a half the next night, and we beat one of the playthroughs.
Well, I definitely can't do that.
Well, yeah, but you can take
But
solace in the fact that it's a fairly short game. But like,
yeah.
it just condenses all of itself, if that makes sense. Like, it's not there's not like lulls in it really. It's like you're always kind of just doing something. So uh, I think that's one of the good things about it. If you really like solving puzzles, you're gonna love it.
It depends on how well designed the puzzles are.
I think the puzzles are cool. They're fun.
I like solving like Uncharted puzzles, which are not really puzzles.
Uh they're not like that. But they're more like, oh, this like unicorn is missing an eyeball, and then on the other side of whatever the
Oh, so like Devil May
thing
Cry
is.
puzzles.
Kinda. I mean, yeah, the same
Find
designers,
one
right? So
object. Find one object. Yeah, actually,
yeah, yeah.
originally Devil May Cry was supposed to be a Resident Evil game.
Yeah. It's similar to that, where it's like find a thing and then or like
Yeah.
you have to put in some code that you're not aware of, and then later on you find some 4-digit code scrawled in blood, or like three of the 4 digits scrawled in blood somewhere, and then you kind of like figure it out, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Like
It's a
a
lot of that.
like a 999
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's
Yeah.
stuff like that. They're enjoyable puzzles. They're not like, and they're not like ones where they're not like Monkey Island puzzles where you're like, how the hell would anyone have figured that out, right?
I've never played Monkey Island, but that is
Oh,
one thing that I've heard about it is that those puzzles make no sense
if
at
you ever
all.
play it, just play it with a walkthrough. That was the one
Mm.
time I did it because it was way more enjoyable that way. Because some of them are like, mix this thing and these two things you would never think to mix, and then throw it at like the dog or whatever, and you're like, who the hell
I
like would
think that's
ever have figured this
literally
out?
I think that's literally the reason I never got into adventure games like other people did. Like because my first adventure game, like I didn't get into adventure games until they kind of changed what adventure games were
Right.
by coming out with like the Telltale games and stuff.
Hmm.
But like my first adventure game was Maniac Mansion, and that game is inscrutable as fuck.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell is happening with it. There's like
They're
a
all
part
like
where I
that.
think you need to put stuff inside, like you need to take something and you need to put it inside of a microwave or something. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. It's wild. Like
You have to
why would you ever
like
think to do this?
I
And it's on
remember
the original NES, so there was no way you were telling anything that was going on.
yeah.
It's all
I remember there was a Day of the Tentacle puzzle where you had to like literally go because you had time travel, you had to like go to the future, you had to take a flag and then like send it. You had to like put it in the pod and send it back in time so that a character that was back in time could take it and do something. But it was like nuts. And
that's so
it's not
dumb.
like the characters go, there's gotta be some way to do this. They just don't tell you. They're like, figure it out. Click a lot.
Yeah, there's one. What was that recent Ron Gilbert game? Uh, it's named after a location. Came out on Xbox One and PS4. It's about a
uh
couple of detectives
oh,
going to a town.
Max and whatever.
No,
Max and whatever. I don't remember.
Max and whatever. No, I mean they did Sam and Max, but this is the
Sam and
new
Max.
one.
That's who I was thinking of.
It's not the one.
Okay.
It's not the one. Adventure game recent Xbox One. Come on, guys.
I have no
Let's just
idea.
go adventure games. Recent adventure games. Come on, come on. We're gonna scroll through. We're gonna scroll through. I will know it when I see it. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. It's literally the name of it is somebody's screaming at us right now.
I know. They're like, Sam and whatever. It's fake
It's
gamers.
definitely not Sam and whatever. Hold on. Thimbleweed Park.
That okay. I remember
That one. So that's the new Ron Gilbert game. That's supposed to be more that's supposed to be better. Like there's like a hotline that you can call or something. But I started to play it and I was just like,
Really?
I don't. Yeah,
They
there's
just
literally
made a hotline for it? That's
no,
funny.
in game.
Oh, I thought like in real
No.
life. I'm like, there's some dude sitting at a desk somewhere. The Thimbleweed Park like hotline.
Yeah.
It's getting
No,
paid garbage.
there's a there's a hotline you can call in game. You can go to a phone and you can dial this particular number once you find like the hotline number in the world, and you can dial it and it'll tell you like, hey, you should probably check this out
That's funny.
or something, which is cool. Like apparently that game gets like very meta, which I think is pretty cool.
Mm,
But as somebody who doesn't really have a lot of adventure game bona fides, I'm pretty sure most of that would be lost on me,
yeah.
which is kind of a shame. But like I don't know. There's so many cool games that are kind of like adventure games, like the new King's Quest. I
Hmm.
think I played like the first chapter of that, and I was like, oh, that was really fun. And then they were like, hey, do you want to buy the second one? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like it that much,
Yeah.
but like it was definitely like the most fun of those types of
I
games.
guess fine.
If we're not counting stuff like Jesus Christ, I almost said Wolf of Wall Street, Wolf Among Us, and very different, both pretty dark. One even darker. uh, one even darker because it was real.
Yeah.
Um,
It happened.
yeah, it really happened. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Playing Hitman, playing Guilty Gear, playing actually not playing Dragon Ball Fighters. I have not been playing much, but it's gonna become a new game tomorrow, basically. So
Are
I'm
you
pretty
happy about
amped.
that? Are people like excited about that?
I think generally people are really excited about that. One thing that I was really disappointed in is that my previous favorite character in the entire game, GT Goku, is not getting the. Basically, everybody got buffs.
Hmm.
Everybody, and some people got some fucking crazy buffs. Like Frieza and Adult Gohan are like completely new characters now.
Mm.
Um, and like some of the they literally added new mechanics to the game, which in the fourth season of a game is like pretty wild.
Hmm.
Um, some characters are extremely powerful now that were really terrible, like Zamasu and Goku Black um, are looking like they're going to be really good. Some characters that were bad for a long time are now better. Like it looks like basically all the versions of Vegeta are going to be better because they had like kind of stubby normals, so they weren't really good in the mid range, which is really important in that game. And it looks like they're
Stubby
buffing that.
normals.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's Goku's got longer legs. He's way taller than Vegeta, so it makes sense. But they're kind of helping him out a little bit, which is great because that was really my one gripe about Vegeta. I like
Mhm.
almost all of the versions of Vegeta better than the versions of Goku, but he's got those big normals, so you just got to do it. So I'm really excited. A bunch of us in my fighting game group are going to be jumping back into it tomorrow to like see the insanity.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm pretty excited about that. But other than that, I'm just gonna be playing Hitman 3, doing other stuff, just chilling, man. And then after
Cool.
that, I think I'll probably get into I don't know, Danganronpa 3 or like I was talking about Resi 2. Maybe I'll play Blasphemous. I don't know.
What is that again? I don't remember what that is.
It's like a kind of like a 2D kind of Castlevania-esque Souls-like sort
Mm,
of a thing. It's based off
okay.
of like Spanish religious culture, so it's like it uses a lot of like Spanish Catholic iconography and stuff. Like they have these huge cone hats that have thorns wrapped around them, and there's a lot of like, oh, there's a lot of like penance stuff, like
Hmm.
really kind of messed up. It's extremely gory and violent. Like it is very intense. But I played the demo. There was like a really good demo on Steam, and I was like, hey, I like this. And I'm looking for something new to play, like months and months and months ago. So I bought it, but I
Hmm.
haven't continued on with it. But it's pretty good. It's got a very
Okay.
generous counter system, which is not particularly common in Souls games.
Right. They're
Um,
usually pretty like exact.
yeah, your parry timing has to be pretty particular in order to like make the most of it. But like the parry timing in this game is like maybe the most I it might be the most generous because it's the most mandatory because it's
Hmm.
basically like you don't have a I don't think you have a block button. It's been a while since I played it, but I'll definitely talk more about it if I get into that next. If Resident Evil 2 is that short, I'll probably try that after Hitman.
It's pretty
Um
short.
but that's
Uh,
pretty awesome.
But it also depends on like how quickly you solve puzzles. But I don't think the puzzles are that hard. When I was a kid, I felt like they were super hard, but
Mm,
then you realize
because you
that
were just a child.
you were just a dumb kid, and then when you get older, you're like, oh, these puzzles are like pretty self-explanatory.
These puzzles ain't shit.
Yeah, like they're not that bad. You know, they're actually enjoyable to do. So
You eat your puzzle brownie and you're like, man, these puzzles ain't shit.
they're
5 minutes later, these puzzles are impossible, man.
metaphysics. I didn't expect this.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on? I don't really have anything else.
Boy, I'm trying to go back and look at like I'm like, what were some of my notes, like show notes from back then that I didn't get to talk about?
Yeah,
But
we got time.
yeah, we do have a little
As
bit of
long as we
time.
don't as long as we don't step on our
I
glasses, we got all the time in the
I
world.
never did talk about Phantasy Star Online 2, did I?
I don't think so.
And just
If you want to, go for it, man.
how utterly disappointed I was
Oh
in New
wow.
Genesis.
Mr. Sapp has been over there getting into it.
Eric Sapp, yeah. Oh, not Eric Sapp. What? Why am I blanking on his last name all of a sudden?
Is it not?
Now I'm confused.
I think it is.
Now I gotta Google it. I'm like, did I get your name right?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm like, hold up. Yeah, okay, yeah. I got that right. I know like multiple Erics, so I was like, wait a minute. I was like, did I do the wrong one? Yeah, because like when
I
I
only
was
know
over
like
there
one.
when I was over there at IGN, we used to talk about Fantasy Star because I was a gigantic fan of Fantasy Star Online on the GameCube specifically,
Hmm.
and like I played the hell out of that game. Um, and I played a little bit of Universe like when that came out on the 360, and I was like into it for a little bit, but like nothing has really ever recaptured like that original feel for me, which was
Hmm.
basically just Diablo 2 in space. And
I mean, that sounds pretty good to me.
yeah, like the original, like now when you go back and play it, it's pretty clunky.
Hmm.
It's not like as enjoyable, but I'm
A lot
like,
of
man,
things feel in that age.
yeah, I'm like, man, I just wanted something that felt like the feeling of just like Diablo 2 in space, right? And so I played a little bit of Phantasy Star Online too, but even that still, it's like the UI was terrible, and it just had all these like problems, and I just wasn't as into it. And then they announced like new Genesis, and I was like, man, this will be it. This will be the time. Like they'll have new UI, they'll fix all this stuff. This will be the time to get in. And I played pretty hardcore for about a day or two, and it is like maybe the most boring MMO I've ever played
That's a shame.
in my
That's
entire
a
life.
shame.
It's like not at all like
Not what you
Fantasy
wanted.
Star. Like I've heard people apparently compare it to like Genshin Impact, but what if they tried to make Genshin Impact in like a year, basically?
Hmm.
So you
I've
base
thought about trying that out as well.
I thought about trying it until uh they did all the anti Hong Kong stuff, or like I there
Yeah.
was some censorship problems with that or whatever, but
Yeah.
so I've never given it a go, but from what I understand, Genshin Impact is like pretty grindy, uh, but it's like open world and stuff. They tried to do that here, where they're like, yes, we have this whole Fantasy Star open world that you can run around and you can kill stuff in, and you're like, great. But what that ends up amounting to is you have a bunch of dailies and you run around this open world doing basically what amount to like fate, like basically what are fates in Final Fantasy 14. You just do
Oh, okay.
fates, but you just do them over and over again. Like that's the whole game is
Oh man.
running from point A to B, just doing fates for gear that's like not that exciting, for a bunch of just resources that like you need so many of to actually power your character up. Um, and it just
What
like
was
feels
that
terrible.
game?
Hmm?
There was a game that I played that was like that, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
It wasn't Genshin Impact, was it?
No, it was like a long time ago. I'm trying to remember. The opening of the game was you go into this village and it was I remember I was like running to the left on a dirt road and then it curved to the right and there was like a broken wheelbarrow or like cart with a bunch of hay on it and you could run up on top of it and there was like this it was like this field of hay and there were like these little fire elemental sprites that were like jumping all around and like causing fire and a bunch of stuff like this and it was just me and a bunch of people trying to like kill them and put them out. Oh my god, what was it? And it was like a fate. And I'm trying to remember what it was. It was
I
this
don't know.
I don't know. I have no there's no way that anyone will in a million years figure out what I'm talking about. Well, maybe they
Maybe they
will.
will.
Maybe they will.
You never know. But yeah, it's not good. Like within a week, I think most of the player base kind of discovered that too. Like they I saw the subreddit kind of devolve from being very excited that there was more like Fantasy Star stuff to do. And then all of a sudden everyone was like, do we really just run around like hitting the same things over and over again to get
Yeah.
stronger, to do that again, run around? And I realized that like it's all kind of like a right, it's a little bit of a metaphor for like those types of games, but
Yeah.
it just didn't feel like you were doing it to do anything like later, you know? Like in
Yeah.
MMOs, like a lot of the times you're doing that stuff because you're like progressing either a story or you're trying to get toward some kind of end game content. Like there's things you're locked out of, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
do them, and you're gonna get even cooler stuff after that. In this, it's just like, nah, just stay here, you know.
Hmm.
And then when you looked at like you would if you went in the store and looked at like how much stuff cost, it was like just outrageously expensive
Hmm.
to buy anything. Like it was to buy like a
To get you to
costume.
like grind forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was like very loot boxy. It was like you want the big like booby outfit, like it has a 1% drop chance from this like scratcher ticket that you have to spend real money on. You can't buy it with in-game currency. And they did like all that kind of stuff. It was just like, even as someone who plays like pretty grindy games like Warframe, it's like at least Warframe like has really fun systems and a wide variety of content to do. It's not just shooting like down corridors. Like there's a ton of stuff that you can do in that game. But in this, it's like
Yeah.
literally just running from point A to B. Like you see the little hunt thing pop up and you just run to it. You hit stuff and then you're like, great,
Yeah.
I did that. So
Yeah.
that was a massive disappointment. And I wish Fantasy Star was good because
Yeah.
I that series is very strange. Like it's always come out in the like they've released some of them in the US and they've tried to really make it like hit with US audiences and it always hits with like a small segment of weirdos like me. Um
It's kind of niche like this Gaia.
yeah, exactly. Except Disgaea, like, they I would argue probably have more success than Fantasy Star since they keep publishing them here, right?
I feel like everybody that I talk to so many people who are Fantasy Star fans, and like there's not many like I feel like Tobias Funke, like there are dozens of us that like
Mhm.
Disgaea. Whereas I feel like everybody I talk to is like, yeah, I was a huge Fantasy Star fan, and I'm just like nobody I knew growing up was into that stuff at
Yeah, but
all.
it was specifically like Phantasy Star Online. And there
Yes.
are some people like who played the Genesis RPGs and stuff, like who played the original that was on Master System and Genesis, and like people that really love
It's kind of like
2 and
Xenogears
4
and
and stuff.
Xenosaga. It's like there's this like pool of games that like I feel like whether they do or don't in reality, I feel like have big name recognition and are definitely things that I recognize that I hear people talking about all the time that I
Mhm.
have no context for. Or like what Xenoblade Chronicles, where it's just like I don't know, I don't know what it is, but
You're like,
apparently a bunch
sure.
of people like it because they keep making them,
Yeah.
or Tales or stuff like that.
It was like Drakengard for a while until like Near
Yeah.
Automata took off, and then everyone went, "Wait, this is the same universe?" And then people
Yeah.
kind of started caring about Drakengard randomly. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's that kind of hurting my heart a little bit, like playing that, because it's like, man, I just want Phantasy Star to be cool, because like it's like if someone made an early 2000s anime as like a Diablo clone, you know. At least
Yeah.
that's what original Phantasy Star Online feels like. It's like late 90s, like you know that like weird anime aesthetic that it has. I don't know how to describe it. Um,
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah.
the aesthetic of those games always like it's got its own direction, but I always find it to be kind of bland, which I think is why I never tried to play those games. Is just because like a lot of those Japanese games, whether they were JRPGs or like MMOs or different things like that. Like, and this was true of the Tales games. This was true of like Final Fantasy 14. Like, I would just play it and it would just, the world would just feel thin or empty, or there was just something, it just felt too bland. Like, the surfaces didn't look like they just, I could see the seams for
Hmm.
whatever, like in whatever way. Like I could just, like the floor tile was just the same forever. Like I walk into a room and like the texture was just, it was just one texture that went the whole way, and I was like, wow, this feels kind of cheap. And I just never, that just like I guess put me off of them. And I get those vibes off of like that sort of a thing when like you see like the equivalent of a lightsaber and it's got like 3 polygons or something. Like it looks like it's like a very clear triangle or something. I'm like, this looks bad. This looks like an N64 game or something.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I think that was like that's me being very superficial, but I think that's like I think that's what a lot of that
I
was.
think aesthetics matter.
Yeah.
And I
Like when
think
I
that
can play Final Fantasy and it's like, whoa, they really blew it out. And then I play like this other thing and it's like, yeah, this doesn't look very good. And then I just kind of like walk away from it or whatever.
yeah, it's
I feel kind of bad about that, but
it's weird because the aesthetic I feel like of Phantasy Star has changed so much over the years, and now it's I don't even know like what to describe it as. It's just this really over the top thing that I just did not feel like. I felt like the Phantasy Star Online character designs were a lot more like subtle,
mm,
and just a lot more like a silhouette, right? It's the same way like people when they criticize like what modern Pokemon look like, where they're like, "Oh, it's just spikes everywhere." It's like kind of what modern Phantasy Star is like. It's like it's all holograms and
mm,
boobs and butts, like just all over the place, and like none of it has like any cohesiveness. It's just like
mm.
very bleh. I don't know. And maybe that's just me getting older, but I still like when I look back at like the way the characters and the stuff looked in Phantasy Star Online, I'm like, yeah, that looked cool.
I'm
I mean,
gonna look this up while you're talking about this.
yeah. I don't know. It just that something about that. I feel like I'm not the only one. I feel for the people that are sticking around in that. I have because I'm like, man, there's so many like better MMOs that are like don't cost a dime that you could be going and playing. There's so many of them. Um, but yeah, it has a lot of mixed reviews on Steam. Um, yeah,
Damn.
don't recommend.
Uh, Catch the Cold.
Catch the cold. Yeah, it's funny because
Don't.
some of the positive reviews are like the combat is awesome, and it's like the combat is literally like hitting X a bunch, and then they criticize like tab targeting MMOs, but at the same time, I'm like those people I would assume haven't played like high enough on like a tab targeted MMO because the actual flow
Like
of
you're juggling
combat
a lot
gets
of
crazy.
cooldowns in WoW. Like
Yeah.
it's not just mash and X.
It's
Like you
like when
gotta
you get
do
to it's like in 14 when you get to your first dungeon, it is kind of just pushing like the same two buttons over and over again, but
ruin,
now
ruin, ruin,
yeah,
ruin.
when you get later on, like the dungeons actually require mechanics from you, you know, because
Yeah.
they're amping it up, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just a weird thing, and I don't know. And then but then in the same review, people are like, the grind is ridiculously long. And I'm like, yeah, because that's all the game is.
Yeah. And
It's
and
just
it feels longer when the stuff that you're doing is repetitive. Like, it
yeah.
wouldn't be
There's
that big of
nothing
a
to
deal if there was a huge grind, if there was a diverse pool of things you could do to grind, and if it wasn't just mastering X all the time.
yeah. Like in a lot of other MMOs, there's other things to do besides just punch or shoot or whatever.
Yeah.
And those I find are the best ones. Where like you can mess with your appearances in very strange, like crazy ways, or you can like just hang out in the world. No
Yeah.
one's just like hanging out in Phantasy Star Online. Like people are just hitting stuff, and
Mm.
like it makes it feel like everyone is just running around on autopilot. Like no one's really like existing in a world.
Mm.
If
That's a
that makes
shame.
sense. But
Yeah.
so yeah, Phantasy Star Online 2, avoid it like the fever. Um, it's
All right. Well,
not great.
shall we wrap with that?
Yeah, let's wrap with that.
Cool. Oh, by the way, I wanted to congratulate our final winner of the Dark Deity giveaway, which is Nekabukala on Twitter. So there we go. Congrats. You've won the 5th key for Dark Deity and the OST. So enjoy.
Now the seals are broken.
And now the seals are broken and the end can begin. I was just watching. We've been rewatching Community, and we got to the level.
The
Jesus
level.
Christ! We got to the episode where Nick Kroll is on it as a foosball player, and he's got a
Yes,
German accent.
I love that one.
I haven't even touched the Forschenschaft. But yeah, that's a freaking great episode. That's a really good show.
It
It's a
is.
really good show. That's like one of those shows that's like, that's a great show that I don't think about hardly ever.
I don't think about it that often either, and then
But
I'm
it's
reminded of it. Like, oh yeah.
quite good. Quite good. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, and people of all kinds, thank you for joining us for episode 190 of the Platformers. We hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have thoughts or topics that you'd like us to discuss, hit us up on social media. You can find all of us corporately at Platformers Pod. You can find me individually at Ribnax on Twitter and Instagram, RIBNAX.
And you can find me on Twitter at the Jawa Josh. I don't tweet that much, but there I am. And then if you want to see all the cool video essay stuff I'm doing, you can go to youtube.com/mediaismythic, where my latest video was all about revisiting Gundam, Gundam Wing Gunpla, and combating nostalgia. And right now I'm working on a video about Frankenstein, specifically Son of Frankenstein, a movie that no one but my weird ass has seen.
I thought you had nobody but my weird ass. I thought you were going to say a video about Frankenstein, specifically the fact that Frankenstein is actually the name of the doctor, not the monster.
No,
And
but
it's just a 45-minute video of you explaining just that.
that is accurate. And actually, funny enough, in the opening moments of Son of Frankenstein, they make a joke about that, where they say the main character, who is, if you'd guessed it, the son of Frankenstein, says something about how people that live in the village don't even call, like, they call the creation of my father Frankenstein. It's funny. It's very meta. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, and that is the movie that movie's based on. Young Frankenstein is a parody of Son of Frankenstein. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's
got
hilarious.
it's got some moments that do not hold up to modern scrutiny, as one might imagine. But it is still quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Quite.
It's an enjoyable time.
It's a fun romp.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can check us out as we live stream each episode on twitch.tv/platformerspod. And you can find the archives of previous episodes at youtube.com/platformerspod. Please review us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you have fun with the show, tell friends, family, and all sorts of people about it.
Hey, Grandma.
Because hey, Grandma, get it in your ears, Grammy. Because we don't advertise, and that's word of mouth is the only way that anyone will ever hear about the show. And if they tune into my tweets on Tuesday after the episode goes out.
Yeah.
That's basically it. From everybody here at the platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Bye.